And welcome to Paranormal XL Podcast. Gigi here, and today we have a special guest with us, Monique TooSoon. Today we are covering her stories and her paranormal journey, because as well, that's what we do. So, how are you doing, Monique?
I'm great. How are you?
Living the dream. Oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to this interview.
Me too, very much.
Yes. My computer's froze. I don't know if I froze on your end or not. There we
You
go.
did not.
Okay, sweet. There, that's better. So, okay, tell me everything.
So paranormal for me started when I was a kid. When I was very young, the first paranormal experience I had was at my parents' house, and I woke up on the floor, and it was really weird to me waking up on the floor when I slept on a top bunk. And I woke up on the floor. I didn't fall on the floor and wake up. I woke up
Right.
on the floor. So it was just so weird to me. But when I woke up, I put my arms down like, maybe I just fell and I didn't know it. And I put my hands down on the ground and I felt something. I felt a person's legs near me. And the craziest thing about it was I was home alone with my mom, and this person had extremely hairy legs. And I woke up and I was like probably like 9 years old when this happened. And I remember grabbing onto these legs and I immediately freaked out, went right back down on my back, laid on the floor, and then tried to just get it out of my head that there was somebody in my room with me that I didn't know, and somebody that wasn't my mom. And I just laid there in full blown panic, probably for an hour, before I eventually just fell back asleep.
Well,
The next morning I woke up still on the floor, had no clue what happened. And it took me probably 20 years to realize that that was my first paranormal experience.
Yes, isn't that crazy how that turns out, like, as adults? Because that happened to me too. It was just a few years ago, and I'm like, wait a minute. With my other co-host that I normally have on with me, we were talking, and I'm like the skeptic of the two of us or whatever, and I'm like, oh crap, that was paranormal. And it hits you, and you don't realize it when you're young, and then your parents make up like these, oh, it's okay, it's in your head, and now we're like, no, it wasn't. It was so scary.
It was so scary, and it was something that blocked me for so many years because, like, I don't think I've ever been so afraid in my life, but it didn't block my love for, like, horror and paranormal. It kind of just blocked this sensitivity that I have because I kind of scared myself out of seeing anything again for a very long time.
Absolutely. I think that happens more time than not. With, we go through those ages, like when we're young, we see it all happen to little kids, animals too, where they're very sensitive, and we catch on to that. And then as time goes on, you're like, I don't know, your teens and like into your 20s. And as you start getting older, shit kind of calms down a little bit for you. And you're like, Then you start thinking back, and then I don't know, like it's been for me, and I'm sure for you as you've gotten older, getting back in touch with the spiritual side of life.
Yeah, I would say probably in the past 5 years, I've really tried to learn how to accept the gift that I was given and really learn how to like key in on it, because I feel like it's a struggle for me to really learn it. And I find that I'm like a sensitive person who's charged by other sensitive people. When I'm around
Absolutely.
other psychics and mediums, like things come to me a lot easier.
Mhm.
When I'm alone, I feel like I just have to learn to trust my guts a little bit more. I'm still learning it. I'm taking tarot classes right now, and that's like
Oh,
insane
awesome.
developing my intuition.
It does. I actually teach tarot classes as well. It does, and it's so neat to watch people hone in on their gifts, if you will. It's lack for a better term, but like they're like, whoa, I can do that. And it's like, yeah, you're like a magical being. You really, really are. And it's great to watch people like yourself, like learning that. And it's like, oh, it's so exciting. It excites me and like regenerates me. I know that. So like,
I
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's just so magical to me when you pull out a card and you really don't know the meaning of that card quite yet, but you start to think about that card and you start to develop like the intuition without even the need of knowing what that card is. And you can do a reading for someone, just by what's coming to you naturally. And that's the part like that excites me the most, is how much I'm learning about myself and, learning just from the cards, not even from a course.
Oh, absolutely. You really learn to tear down that wall, I think, with that, and learning past the point of, see, I'm an oracle card reader, and I use it essentially for a tool, as it sounds like you're using it just for a tool as well. When you're getting the intuition, you're getting the messages from the other side and such like that, and not even really looking at the cards. Like when I explain it, there's like with tarot cards, you can learn the book and anybody can read the cards. But like once you start opening yourself up, as I'm sure that obviously you're learning to do, shit just starts rushing in and you're like, whoa, this is awesome. And you got to learn how to take it so it doesn't like, I'm going to say overexert you, but
Yeah, and I think as a kid, like it was something that scared me a little bit, and it made me feel like I was already more different. I was already too different. I didn't want to be any more different than I already was. Growing up gay was hard enough. Growing up gay and having any kind of ability probably would have put me in another whole boat. So when I hid that, now that I started to develop it, like I realized how fun it is, and I'm like, why was I afraid of this as a kid? Like, this is so cool. This is me being in touch with something that a lot of people can't be in touch with. And it really is just, it's growing so much. I feel like every day it just gets stronger and stronger. And I know soon I'm going to be a force to be reckoned with.
oh, you already are. Shit. I can already tell. It's wonderful. I love hearing how excited you are about that and learning about yourself on the spiritual level. Like that's such a journey. Unless you're on it or, way into it or at the beginning, you don't understand it.
Yeah. And
And
it
it, and
takes a
it,
lot.
it really does. And when I jumped in full force and like I came out of my broom closet, if you will, um,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh. And it helped me through some really dark times, like through depression and stuff like that. And I came across these people that I wouldn't trade for anything. Like, these are people I would actually like, I can honestly say I'd take a bullet for. And I may have only known them 2 or 3 years, but we're on like a vibrational connection where these people I've known for 20, 30 years, I'm like, nah, I can do with or without.
I,
So meeting those types of people is wonderful too.
I have one person that I connect with even more than anybody else. And I met her kind of by accident. And I did this ghost hunting event and I hosted it and I was there and I was doing my thing and just something kept drawing me to her. And by the end of the night, we were talking like we were best friends for 100 years. Neither of us knew the other was sensitive. We hadn't really talked about it before. And ever since then, every time I go on a hunt, I take her with me. And it's insane what happens to the two of us when we're together. It's this kindred connection that like you hear about it, but you don't really ever see it, like unless you're
Mhm.
involved in one. And it's
Mhm.
just insane.
Yes, yes. I got like a Paris sister like that as well. She's out on the East Coast as well, the Femes, that we actually got to investigate when I went out there a couple weeks ago, Emory Estate. And that was our first time like actually doing an investigation together, but it was absolutely insane. And I'm like, oh my God. And she was my internet bestie. We've been internet besties for 3 years. I finally got to go out there and investigate with her. And it was like, took it to like a whole different, like intimate type of level relationship with us, everything that we just got to experience together. So like, I'm sure that's like how you are with this person that you were just talking about.
Yeah, and she moved to Florida, so we're very far apart now, but it's insane. Like she'll text me and she'd be like, "What's wrong?" And I'd be like, "How do you know something's wrong?" Like, and like I'll do the same thing to her. I'll shoot her a text, and she was like, "You knew I needed the text from you today. Like
Hmm.
you knew we needed to have this conversation." And like we just feel it, and it's even better when you go ghost hunting with that person because if she's feeling something, I'm feeling it too. If she's seeing something, I'm more than likely going to experience it as well. And it just charges that energy and makes it a lot stronger. And it makes you trust it a little bit more too. Because I feel like a lot of the time we
Yeah.
don't trust our gift.
It's scary because you're like, what is this? Because we're taught that that's not normal,
No,
but
it's
it's
not. I'm not
so
normal.
normal. I
Yeah.
know, right? But it's so beyond normal that it like wrapped itself right back around to not being normal. Like it's crazy how
Yeah.
if people would just lighten up a little bit, open themselves up a little bit, we'd live in a much happier world. Everybody be go around talking to ghosts and just living their best lives. It'd be great.
I feel like everybody needs to have a paranormal experience at least once. And then you'll
Mhm.
know if it's real or if it's not. Like the first
Right.
time I went ghost hunting, it was like an eye opener. That's when I really realized that I actually had this gift. And like because I was like in a place where I was a little bit more in tune with spirits because there were a lot more spirits around me too. And
Right.
it really opened my eyes.
Hmm. Now I'm gonna ask this question.
Oh yeah.
Now, when you go ghost hunting, do you always go in drag?
So I just started combining the two in the past 5 years. I've been doing paranormal investigation for probably about 15. And then
Mhm.
one day I kind of like sat down and I'm like, the energy you bring with you on a ghost hunt is kind of the energy you get out of the ghost hunt.
Mhm.
And I got to thinking and like, what is the biggest energy in the world? Drag queens. we have so much energy and we bring so much energy to the table. I decided to go ghost hunting in drag. And like, I went into a place that was pretty quiet for me the first time I went as a boy. And when I went to this place as a boy the first time, I spoke with a child there. I tend to attract ghost children, which that's another story. But when I went to the same place in drag the next time, that kid didn't come to me in the same way. Came to me in a completely different way, which was kind of cool to experience. But it
Mhm.
also elevated the level of the energy, and we got so much more evidence because of
That is awesome. I've been waiting to ask that question.
it.
So I know that we chatted about that a little bit beforehand when we were setting up the interview. So like you're absolutely right. You get out of an investigation what you put in energy wise, and that energy that you're going in as like a whole different person essentially, and that's how they're seeing you as well. Now, was this like a older location? Have you ever had like? Sorry, I'm jumping around.
Oh, that's
Like going into an older location, like I don't know, like early 1900s. Have you had bad experiences going in as drag just because, like, what, like they're set back in that time?
I haven't quite had that experience yet in drag. I did have it as a boy, and this was actually at Sweet Spring Sanitarium in Virginia.
Okay.
And I went there with that girl who is my kindred psychic spirit. We connect well, and we were investigating a men's corridor there, and the energy kept pulling us to one room in specific, and we just kept kind of ignoring it and kind of just feeding it. We were playing with a REM pod and a couple of other things that were going bonkers in this hallway. And then something just dragged me down the hallway, and we went into this room and we found female clothes in the men's ward, and it was a patient room. And then we started finding knickknacks and all this other stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, I was led here by a cross-dresser. So this person picked up on my energy, but
Mhm.
this poor person was probably institutionalized for being a cross-dresser. So when you look at like the history, I could have been institutionalized just for being myself, even 40, 50 years ago.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. That's why I wanted to ask that question. Like, if you ever went in like as a man one time and then back in drag, and then it was, I don't want to say like the spirits treated you differently or
So the little
whatnot.
boy Yeah. So the little boy that comes to me, this was at SK Pierce. His name is Bobby. And the first time I went there, he kind of gave me a little bit about himself. He kind of just led me around the house. He didn't really like give me a lot while I was there. When I came there the second time in drag, that time Bobby didn't come to me. Someone else came to me, but it kept giving me information. And then I found out later that it was actually Bobby coming to me and telling me how he died. I just had no clue it was Bobby. So he presented himself
Wow.
differently to me when I was there in drag. And it probably is
Okay.
just completely a different energy. So that's why. I was
Okay.
just,
That makes
it's
sense.
really odd.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Now I was listening to your EVP that you just put out
Which one?
on the YouTube. He's a lady.
Oh,
I
my
was
favorite one ever.
I was trying to get it so I could upload it here, but as we know, I was wanting to burn down my computers before we got on. But
Yeah.
so did you hear that like when you first got it, or was it one of those things that you found when you were going over the evidence?
So in the moment that happened, I was at the SK Pierce house in Gardner, Mass, and the caretaker, whose name is Marion, she had told us that in this specific room there's a portal in the closet. So of course, me trying to get the biggest reaction out of the spirits there, I'm going to throw myself right into the portal. I'm going to go in that portal and drag, and I'm going to try and get anything to come out of that portal and mess with me. So
Yeah.
I'm in this portal and I'm like literally just like, all right, we're waiting. Come do something to me. Pull my wig off. Do anything you want. Push me, touch me, grab my boob. Whatever you want to do, just do it. And then all of a sudden I hear Marion out there and she goes, it just said he's a lady. It just said he's a lady. And I didn't hear it in the moment, but as soon as that night was over, I went right to that spot in the footage and found it. And I was like, this is incredible.
Wow. That is awesome.
Yeah, the ghost was sassing me.
Yeah, they do that from time to time.
Oh yeah. I give it right back.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah,
Um,
let me-
so hold on. What was your like favorite investigation so far doing in drag? Like what was the location you got the most energy to come toward you?
Ooh, in drag. Probably the SK Pierce.
Okay.
That was a really good pull for me. As a boy, the best energy I've received is either Sweet Springs or West Virginia State Penitentiary.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah,
Fun. Like
both of
fun.
those were really dark locations where there was a lot of negative energy and very intellectual energy too.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, see that from the prisons. Because yeah, I went to Ohio State Reformatory last year. And very like you had like I slept for like 3 days after getting out of that because I'm just like even just going up to like the second level and there's like 6 on there. I'm like, okay, guys, I need a break. This is like whoa, like it's insane at some of those locations that are throwing all that different kind of energy at you.
And most people who are sensitive don't understand like why you're so pooped for days later. It's like you're in this building and it's bombarding you, even if it's residual energy.
Oh,
It bombards you and it doesn't let go until you leave that building. And sometimes it follows you home for a couple of weeks.
yes, you get that psychic hangover is what we refer to it.
Yes.
And
I've never
yeah,
heard that actually, but I love that way. That's a great word
yes,
for it.
yes. That's almost what it feels like. You don't want to get out of bed. You're like, do I take Tylenol? What's going on here? Trying to gather all your thoughts. Like, what the hell just happened? Like, I just walked into this building and you don't feel the same coming out on the other side. So,
I
like, do
think
you have a what's that?
I was gonna say I just think we need to come up with a cure for this psychic hangover. Maybe we need
I
like our
know.
own vitamin water because they have one for an alcohol hangover. Maybe we need a vitamin water for a psychic hangover. There's some lavender in there, a couple of
I
other.
I may have to edit this out so that we can talk about our $1 million idea here on the side.
Well,
I'm
now it's all
always
online, so if someone steals it, we going after them.
exactly. We got proof. It's timestamped.
Exactly.
I love it. I love a good side hustle.
Oh yeah, me too. I have plenty of side hustles.
I know. That's why I got out of well, I didn't get out of recording for a little bit, but I went MIA a little bit, just dabbing and whatever in my side hustles. I was like, no, you miss recording. Get back into that. So do you have a crew that you go with besides the one other person, or?
I do. I have a Scooby gang. We call it a Scooby gang. I think
I love
everyone
it.
calls it like a Scooby gang. But my husband is one of them. My husband's also so
Awesome.
into the ghost hunting. My best friend, my psychic friend, and then I have a couple of other people. We always try and make like a small group. But when we go ghost hunting, we typically rent places out and we go alone. We don't like
Yes.
to have a big crowd with us because sometimes it can interfere. So we tend to like be 5 to 10 people max, and then
Hmm.
we'll go and do our thing and we'll spend the night there if we're allowed to. Not much scares our group.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's ideal for ghost hunting for sure. No, I'm totally with you when you get too many, or if you go on like those big group hunts or whatever, tours essentially is what they are. I've been on a couple, not for the purpose of investigating though, just because like sometimes I have to separate it because I didn't know I loved history until I got into actually investigating. Apparently, I love history, but I go on those so I can learn the history and then try to get back in with the crew later on. Get the background of it and go by ourselves rather than having like 50 strangers with you and you got no idea what's going on. That's a like. Well, even a lot of the groups that you'll see, I talked to one that had like 15 members. I was like, why? I was like,
Wow.
that's so much going on because like you need quiet when you're doing an EVP session. You just need quiet when you're doing anything with it, really.
Yes.
Like you said, 5 to 10, that's decent depending on the size of the location. Uh, I had something else I was gonna say with that. I can't remember what it was.
Mhm.
So like are you more on the science side or spiritual side of it?
Oh, wow. Probably a little bit in the middle somewhere. I'm really learning my spirituality like in the past 5 years. So I feel like that's like just like a never-ending lesson that you learn your spirituality. It's something that I'm constantly growing. It's something that I'm constantly wanting to push to grow more, but it kind of grows at its own pace and you can't force it. So in the meantime, I do love the science part. Like I love all the equipment that's available.
All the
Like I
toys.
love yeah, toys. I love seeing how everything reacts. I have like 45 different pieces of equipment. I
Yes.
literally have spent a fortune on ghost hunting equipment in the past like 20 years. I have buckets full.
It's a very expensive hobby.
It is. And it's like when the new iPhone comes out, you have to have like the new version of the SLS or,
Exactly.
oh,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
it's just
it's crazy.
yeah.
I know. And my husband's always like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Well, don't worry about it. If you're not going to go with me, I'm not going to sit here and explain it to you. You would have so much fun with all these toys, but not for you. They are for
Yeah,
me."
and I'm in the opposite where my husband's like, I got an extra $1,000 this week. What are we buying? And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna do this. We
I
just
have a
spend.
list.
Yes, it's so exciting. I love buying new
It
stuff and
is.
then getting out there and using it.
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part. Seeing like what is your favorite piece of equipment that you came across so far?
So, one of my favorite things to use, and I don't know if a lot of ghost hunters use this. I don't see it very often on like TV or whatnot, but I actually love the Phasma box. It's a
Okay.
software that you attach to a computer, and it kind of
Mhm.
does EVPs without the white noise, that radio skipping. And I tend to get very intelligent responses out of
Yes.
Phasma, which is so crazy to me because some people just don't have any luck with it. I
Mm-mm.
get really clear communication with it.
Yeah, I definitely prefer like the clean EVPs, so you don't get the white noise.
Oh yeah.
That's watching. I'll have to like if I watch any of the paranormal shows or whatever, I usually have to put it on mute when they bring out the spirit boxes. Like
Oh yeah.
I can't. And then they're like, "It said Frank," and I'm like, "What? That was the person on the radio." Like I I have mixed emotions on that. If that's something that you like, awesome, more power to you. But I'm like, with you, you want the clean EVPs where you can
Yeah,
go
that
back and you can actually hear it, and
mhm.
you,
And that skipping noise just screws your mental capacity.
it
Like
does,
you
yeah.
takes you out of the moment, and it takes you out of like if you're connected with the spirits in that place, it kind of
Mhm.
takes you out of that connection. It's a lot.
It is a lot because I think like you're hearing things, you're hearing that consistent noise, and your brain is making you hear things that really I don't think are there
Hmm.
at sometimes. I could be dead wrong. It's just my own opinion on
Yeah.
it, but I'm definitely with you with the quieter EVPs, the cleaner ones.
Yeah.
That's a
And another thing I like that I barely ever see too is spirit cubes, like spirit dice. Like I like to roll
okay.
my dice
Mhm.
and kind of like play Scrabble with the spirits. And like a few weeks ago, we went to the Isaac Morrison Murdoch Whitney house
Mhm.
in Winchendon, Mass, and we were in a room where a gay man had actually shot himself in the head. And I was just trying to connect with this gay guy. And the first time I had gone to the house to do a tour, he had come to me immediately as soon as I walked through the door, and he was like telling me that he was a ginger, he was a redhead, and I take this to the owner, and they're like, we never knew he was a ginger until like 2 weeks ago. Like it was just really cool to do that. But when I played spirit cubes on his floor, my husband had the SLS on me,
Mhm.
and you could see something standing behind me. It mapped out something standing directly behind me, and
Oh,
I'm rolling
awesome.
the spirit cubes. And in my first roll, I get gun and floor. This guy shot himself in the head and died on that floor that I was rolling the cubes on. And then we started talking
Nice.
about this other room right next to that room. And I was like, there's a dark energy in that room. I don't like it. I would not sleep in that room. I didn't even want to hunt in that room by myself. Well, I start talking about that room, and I rolled the spirit cubes and don't trust. So that kind of put me in a place where I'm like, maybe this guy killed himself
Mhm.
because of something in that room.
But yeah, like a dark energy that's been there and then
And
wore on him while he was there. Yeah.
yeah, kind of
Isn't that
weird.
crazy? Yeah, how you like start putting that stuff together. Like, I know when you start learning the history afterwards and like paying attention to like your intuitions and your visions, if you get visions and stuff like that, then you start puzzling it all together. And like at the end of investigations, that's probably my favorite part of investigating is like your oh my God moments.
It's always when you get a really crisp EVP and you're like, oh my God, this is so clear. And you like start, I like jump up and down. It's
what
so
what else are you
exciting.
gonna do? Yes, yes.
And I love it even more in the moment too. Like I love it when you're ghost hunting somewhere and something huge happens, or like something falls, something scares the crap out of you, even bats.
I
Like
know.
I'm sure you've
It,
come across bats.
yes, yes. It gets
Oh
your
my,
adrenaline going though, and you're like, yeah, let's go. I want to investigate forever.
yeah. And then you're on all fours on the floor trying to avoid the bats flying around the building, attacking you at the moment, screaming like a teenage girl. That's me. But you want to see them, but then they come after you and you're like, no, I didn't want that after all.
I will love you from afar. Let me see you from afar.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. So I also I wasn't Facebook stalking because I say I don't do that because I'm a podcaster. So I'm doing research. So I did
Oh,
some research on you. So I make that clear. People are like, "Oh my God, she's stalking me." No, I'm doing
okay.
research.
You can stop me all you want. I'm used to it.
I love that. I see that a few years ago you went to the Warren Occult Museum. How was
Yeah.
that? Was that like phenomenal?
So I was actually staying at Lizzie Borden House when we went there,
Okay.
and we are like, oh, it'll be a quick detour because we thought they were close by. No, not at all. 3 hours away. All back roads in the middle of nowhere. But we got to experience the Warren Occult Museum. So we got there, and it was actually, I think, the daughter of Lorraine and Ed's husband that was doing the tour, which
Okay.
was kind of cool. Lorraine was there. She was still alive. She was sitting on her porch. We weren't allowed to go near her or talk to her or anything. We
Oh,
were told that she's relaxing, leave her be. So, but they
fine.
take you Have you ever been there?
No.
Oh, so it's this like really old home in the middle of nowhere, Connecticut, at the end of a cul-de-sac. And the front of the house, you can see that's where she was sitting at the front porch, but they take you out back. And
Okay.
the shed that the museum is in, it's nothing like the movies. It's actually like a hallway that goes from the house to this shed. And this shed is like, it's really tiny. It looks really big in like photos, but it's actually the tiniest place I've ever been. The grass was pretty much up to my nipples. Like they never cut it. Like we had ticks all over us, but they make you
Oh.
pray. Oh, they made us pray before we go in there. I am
Oh
not
wow.
religious in any way, shape, or form, but I prayed because they were
Yeah.
very serious about praying.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to touch anything in there. And they gave like this really wonderful tour, and they told you about all these objects that had caused people harm, or all these stories that the Warrens had. And going into Ed's like workshop in there, they had like the
Yeah.
cassettes that, you know, from like the 70s that they used for investigations. And all his paperwork was where he left it when he passed. Like it was so nostalgic just to walk into
Yeah.
this place. And there must have been like 5,000 Ouija boards in this place. And
Oh,
they
I'm
said that
sure.
every single one of these was sent to them by people saying, make it stop. Like everything in that place has hurt someone, and that's why it's there. Including Annabelle, who, you know, is a Raggedy
Yeah.
Ann doll. She's like locked in this glass case, and you can take pictures with
Right.
her. You're not allowed to touch her though. You're not allowed to get close to her.
Right. Did you
It was
get
just
any
really
feels
cool.
off that?
I didn't get anything off of Annabelle, but the Zeotrope from The Conjuring 2 with the Slender Man in
Yeah.
it, the thing that spins
Yeah.
around and the light comes out of, that thing gave me the creeps. There's definitely a little
Okay.
energy attached to that. And there was a couple of things in there that had high energy readings, but everything in there is also blessed. So it's been dulled down a little bit.
Right.
And they continuously bless that place. Like I think they said they do it like every month. Like
Oh
that place
wow.
is
Yeah.
blessed every single month just to make sure that nothing is in there. Because there's things in there that actually hurt Ed and Lorraine Warren too. There was like a log that that put her into a coma for a week, like an
Jesus.
unexplained coma, and then she snapped out of it, and it was just like this satanic ritual log. You actually probably, it's when they do the Warren Museum tour things, they bring
Okay.
that log with them. It's like this giant log with like horns coming out of it.
Good heavens to Betsy.
Yeah, like the creepiest thing. But that place is really cool. I don't know if it's still open to the public, but it was really pricey, but it was so worth it, and it was just so nostalgic
Yeah.
being in this really famous house, because I've been in the Conjuring house too, but the Warren Museum blows everything away that I've ever done.
I could see that. See, the Conjuring house, I have mixed feelings about going there too, and places that have been like overdone, just because like I believe you get them people in there, so we leave a little bit of ourselves when we do the investigations. We open up ourselves. We also take. So after so many hundreds of people and thousands of people coming in, to me, it dies down, and that's okay. Or these spirits are like, okay, enough. I'm tired. I'm not coming out. So
When
like
I
the
went,
Conjuring. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. Do you finish?
I want to say the Conjuring house would be cool to go. I think just to say, okay, yep, I can, and then I can check it off my bucket list type of thing.
It's kind of what
To
I did
see.
with it. Yeah. I went for my birthday a couple of years ago. We went in the summer, and it was like so freaking hot. Never go in the summer because there was no AC or anything. And
Oh,
the windows are so tiny that they let no air into the place. But I pretty much didn't have any experience there. It was very quiet when I was there. It was like we got a little communication in the basement where the well is, and that was about it. It was very, very like flatlined for me. Like there wasn't a lot of energy, and we were getting a lot of stuff about a witch, but that was it.
hmm.
And I was expecting like some really traumatic stuff in there because of, you know, its reputation.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. But again, there goes Hollywood. Where you
Mhm.
get into places like this, you have to kind of be like, okay, was that real or was that set up for, the movie screen? Because that's some of that's that you have to embellish some of it. The shows, I get that, because that's what gets you the ratings. Because let's face it, when you're investigating for 7-8 hours, especially at a dead location, no pun intended with that, a dead
Yeah.
location, it's boring.
Yeah.
But they're not going to show that. You need to have somebody tip something over or whatever.
I think a lot of people don't realize, because they watch TV shows, is that those TV shows sometimes take 4 or 5 days that they're filming, and they're giving you
Mhm.
maybe 30 minutes of evidence that they found over 4 or 5 days. So sometimes when you go
Exactly.
on a night ghost hunt, you're not going to catch this tremendous information that other people caught, like when
Mm-mm.
they were there for 4 days, because sometimes it takes 4 days for the energy to trust you enough to make itself
Absolutely.
own to you as well. Like it doesn't want you to hurt it as much as you don't want it to hurt you.
Exactly. Yeah, people don't, because that's what, we'll have people, oh, can we go on a hunt with, sure, and I'll put something together. They're like, well, that was boring. I'm like, well, I never said it was like every time's like, a hit,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. And I think you have to go in with the right intentions, because everything's about our intentions. And if you're going in there like, man, I hope this ghost like pulls my hair. No, don't, and that's what the person's focused on. It's probably not going to happen. You have to go in there, I believe, like lighthearted and like try to communicate nicely with these spirits and
give them the respect you want back.
Yeah, exactly. Because otherwise they're probably going to hide in the closet.
Yeah.
And they'll come out for the next group that, they like. Now, have you ever been out to Zach's museum?
No, that is on my bucket list. I don't think I've ever been to Vegas, to be honest.
I went once, it's right before COVID hit, and I went out there just to go to his museum. Totally worth it. It was only $35 to get in.
Wow.
It's like 2.5 hour tour. The tour guides are phenomenal. You see some amazing items, and you will get all sorts of feels going through there. Like you probably won't want to leave there. I want to go back so bad. Even though some of the feelings I got were like sad, I didn't get anything like super, super negative. Maybe like a bit like, questionable. But
yeah.
He's also got the serial killer wing of it as well, which I love true crime. So like that was cool to see a lot of those things. Definitely, if you get the chance, go. Even if that's the only thing you do out in Vegas, totally worth the $35 to get in. Oh, plus your plane ticket, but totally worth the trip out there.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get out there someday to do that.
Yes, it's. I didn't think it was like, because it's in like this small mansion, tiny mansion. You get in and you're like, holy shit, this place is huge. Like you didn't realize that you were in there for that long. And it's like, again, you can't take any pictures, you can't take your cameras or anything in with you. And they'll ask you if you're an investigator. Then they'll search like your bag. They looked in my purse and stuff to make sure I didn't have anything.
Why?
Like,
I don't get that. I was allowed to take pictures
okay.
in the Conjuring house as long as I didn't, not the Warren Museum, but I was allowed to take photos. I just wasn't allowed to touch anything.
No photos, no recording devices, no nothing.
That's so weird.
Yeah. It's doing what I do as far as just being an investigator alone, but that was even before I started like actually like investigating these bigger locations. I was just doing the podcast. I wanted the videos. I wanted that's why I went out there. And now I just all I have is to talk about it. But like that's how I'm like, if you get out there. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, next time I'm gonna get myself like a brooch and like put like a little camera in there, because they got those little secret little cameras and whatnot. I mean, just saying.
The new EVP wristwatches they have on. I have 2 of them. Okay, I was not about to buy one because I'm like, these can't work because they're really cheap.
Right.
Best EVPs I've caught on those.
That is awesome. Yeah, because you wouldn't even really like, you can just hit record and kind of forget that it's there and like keep doing your other stuff, right?
Yeah, like the clarity was so much better than I ever expected. And I just used them for the first time a couple of weeks ago. But like some of the best EVPs I've ever captured on those watches. Definitely well worth it. Like 70 or 80 bucks they cost.
Okay.
And you can hide that while into a museum if you wanted to.
Hell yeah. I'm like, when we going?
Please, let's do this.
Let's go. We're going to Vegas.
Museum.
You would just, now I'm like reminiscing in my head. You would just, it hands down one of the best locations, only because like, I don't know, again with like the history thing, and I got to see a lot of the items that we covered on the podcast when we first started the podcast 3 years ago. So it was cool to actually like be able to go in and see like the Hell House stairs. So they have that like in a single room, and you have to go, they talk to you about it. You can only be in there for like 3.5 minutes, and they bring down these walls or whatever, so then you can't see it no more because they don't want anything to attach itself to you or anything. And then the Dubuque box, like you have to walk by, you cannot stop and look at it, like you have to walk around it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's like real intense. You're like,
I never even knew what a Dubuque box was until I saw like that Mindseed YouTube video where he bought one on the black market and opened it, and it was like crazy crap inside there.
Yes. Yeah, the one that he's got is like the famous one. We covered it on the podcast at the beginning. Excuse me. The pictures make it look big, but it's only like I don't know, maybe 2 feet by 1.5 feet, maybe. And he's got it in airtight enclosed glass with salt around it.
Wow.
And then, like, in the salt, there's like these claw marks going through the salt.
Stop.
No,
Did
no.
they put
And
the
there's
claw marks in the salt?
what's that?
Did they put the claw marks in the salt, or did a spirit do that?
They claim that they didn't because it's in the salt is within the airtight
Oh,
glass box that's around it.
okay. All right. All right.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more believable. If that was on the outside,
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you take everything with a grain of salt. Again, no
yeah.
pun intended. With it,
It's
but
almost
it's
like
still kind of
you gotta bust
cool.
it. Yeah, you gotta
Yes,
bust
yes.
it. You gotta make sure it's actual real evidence and not like a pipe or
Exactly. As I'm
orange
like, as
kit.
long as it didn't happen like in front of my face, I was all right. I'm like, okay, cool. It's cool to say that I got to see it. I don't
Yeah.
want anything creepy else happening, but that's got to be on your list, like for sure. Besides all the other history that's in Vegas, but
I'll add
that
it to
for
my
sure.
bucket list. I have a list of like 5 or 6 places that are like need immediate attention from me. So I'm gonna have
What's
to add
number
that right.
one?
Old South Pittsburgh State Hospital. And that's
You were
out where
like,
you are, isn't it?
I'm in Michigan.
Oh, you're in Michigan. Okay.
Mhm.
Old South Pittsburgh's and I think in Tennessee.
Mm.
I'm dying to get there though.
I will be in Tennessee in September. I have family. We are
Hmm.
from the South. Uh, but I want to go obviously to Waverly Hills Sanitarium too.
That's in
Once
my
they
top
get all
10.
that stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So as traveling through, through Kentucky and down Tennessee's got a lot of locations to go to as I've
And it's
been.
so close to West Virginia too. So it's so close to like West Virginia State Penn and Sweet Springs and Hillview Manor in Pennsylvania. Like I did a trip where I did 7 days and we ghost hunted 4 of the 7 nights and we hit all 4 locations like right there in West
Hell
Virginia.
yeah.
From like Sweet Springs to Trans-Allegheny to West Virginia State Penn, and then we finished at Hillview Manor, and it was like one of the coolest trips ever. Except the sensitive people, we were drained for like a month after that. I didn't even look at my footage for like a month. I didn't even want to
It'll
think
F
about
you
it.
up, man. People don't understand it, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
You just need
That's
to
a-
recuperate.
Yes, my husband's always like, well, are you sure you didn't do drugs or, did you drink too much? I said, no, I investigated. You don't understand what happens. Like, he loves me from afar when it comes to the paranormal stuff. Actually, he got me a little she shed. That's where I'm at now. That's where I have the studio and stuff now. He's like, I don't care what you do as long as you don't bring anything in the house. You keep it out in the shadows. Okay, deal.
I know. I love
I'll
that
take it.
life-size Dean Winchester behind you.
Yeah, I love him.
He's really hot. He is the hottest Winchester for sure.
Yeah, I know. I know. Also, I was like, he's the bad boy. Sam's like the nice one where you go to like if you need a hug.
Yeah.
He's like if you need like 15 minutes, hour and a half, a good time. That's who you call. If you need a hug, you go to Sam. Yes, yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm
I
saying.
agree
I
100%.
I took him down to Ohio, the Ohio State Reformatory. Not thinking anything about it. I had him dressed just like that. We went to Parapsychon down there last year, and I was doing readings and stuff. And people kept stopping and asking if they could get pictures. I was like, next year, I'm just going to charge $5 with. I'm just going to bring him. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm just $5 for a picture with Dean Winchester, as long as they have the Paranormal XL T-shirt in it. That's what I told him. Take all the
Oh,
pictures you
there you
want, as
go.
long as he can have that T-shirt on. It's all about marketing, baby.
So you bring him to Paracons with you, but you have an object that you bring on every ghost hunt with you?
Myself in my obsidian bracelet for protection.
I have a Chucky doll that's like 4 feet tall that I bring every ghost hunt with me, and I always leave him somewhere with a camera on him because I'm always hoping that something is going to mess with Chucky.
I love that so much.
I'm also secretly kind of hoping that he gets possessed by a serial killer, and I have my own real life Chucky doll.
I get that. I would love to, and that's so bad to say because you hear like all these horror stories and stuff. And I'm like, but I just need to know if it could really happen. Like
Exactly.
I'll
I'm not
deal
gonna
with it
send
if it happens. Yeah, I'll deal with it if it happens. But I just want to see if it happens. No offense to anybody that's had the bad shit happen. I just want to see if it, I get
I want
it.
to see it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
That we have all these stories about Chucky since the 80s. I want to see if actually Chucky could be a real thing.
Yes. Now you do know it's lightly based on Oh my God, Sarah, get your shit together. Oh my God, I'm so disappointed in myself right now.
And you know what? I'm one of those fact people like you that I could probably have pulled that fact up, but I don't know what you're telling me.
Love it. Oh my God. Oh, I am so disappointed in myself. He's down in Key West.
Hmm.
Because he's based on the movie is loosely based on Robert the Doll.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who Robert is. I didn't know he was in Key
Yes.
West.
Yes, he is in Key West. So my internet bestie, the one that I just went out to Massachusetts to see, she is Ghost Bay on the show Scared and Alone. And on the panel, David, he is the caretaker to Robert, and sometimes he'll put Robert behind him on camera when they show him.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, me too. Except for like I'm always waiting for it to like move. I'm like, watch out, David, he's gonna get you.
Bucky's hiding in the room right now. He's staring at me, but he's on the other side of the camera in his box,
Oh, good, good.
just in case he did get past.
As soon as he like comes walking up behind you, I'm gonna have to go.
We actually attached an EMF detector to him too.
Mm,
So he is an EMF detector at this point. So if anything does get near him, we're gonna know. But I actually
right.
left him at that house where the gay guy had killed himself. That
Hmm.
room that I really did not like the energy. I
Right.
left Chucky there overnight with a camera on him, and nothing happened at all in the room all night. I went through
Oh,
hours and
wow.
hours of footage, but I was hoping.
Well, that's all you can do is hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would be a really good trigger object. I mean, that's a good thought that you have taking him with you like that.
Yeah, and it's just something I always feel like that you should bring something with you every time you go somewhere. There's always something that, it's not a comfort object for me, but it's just always something that I know is there and
Hmm.
it's something that I bring that's special to my tours.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So I do know what you have some events coming up, don't you, at the Wilson Castle?
I'm going to be hosting 3 events at Wilson Castle. I believe the dates are June 17th, August 20th, and October 1st or 7th. And then I'm also hosting 2 events at the Isaac Morris Murdoch Whitney House as well, which is in Winchendon, Mass.
Okay,
So over the next 6 months, I've got about 5 dates for where people can join me on a hunt. And we're
that is
keeping them
awesome.
limited to 20 people, obviously, so we keep it small and that people don't interfere with each other's ghost hunts. We'll
Hmm.
be splitting the group in half as well, so that 10 of us are in one building versus 10 of us are in another building, and then we'll be
Yeah.
swapping groups, and it'll be really cool. Everyone will get to experience what happens when you investigate with a drag queen, and that's kind of what I want to share with the world because it's so different.
It is different, and I'm all about finding something different in the paranormal community just because, like, it kind of gets, I don't want to say old because it's always fun, but
Oh yeah.
the same old thing and stuff like that. And I think it's great in the energy that it's not a bad thing. Like, I think it's just a wonderful tool that you have to offer that's very unique, and it's so great.
Yeah,
It just
and I really like I think the biggest thing I want to happen like with these tours is I want like people to just become a little bit more open-minded about drag queens and about paranormal. Like they're two things that
it's
people can be pretty close-minded about.
absolutely, yeah, and it's putting both of those together. Like that's so awesome. I like big heart that a lot. Um, and the energy level, like you talked about before, and I can only imagine because I'm sure your vibration goes up when you're dressed in drag. You're happy. It's a different persona.
Yeah.
But bringing that vibration up on any type of investigation is gonna get you a 95% better chance of getting any type of evidence, whether it be an EVP or something in picture, video, or whatever.
And it's so cool because you'll see like 500 people investigate this one place over time. And then you bring drag energy in there, and then the energy that's there completely changes too. Like you don't get the same energy sometimes that other people have gotten in the past there. You
Hmm.
get new energy, or that energy can come to you completely differently. And it's just so cool to see how things react. And like that, he's a lady. That was one of my favorite things ever because I'm like, I feel like the ghost is sassing me. Like the ghost is calling me out. Like it's just legit straight up calling me out as I'm standing in the portal in the closet.
Like, you don't know me.
Yeah, you don't know me. How do you know I'm not a lady? What is that ghost
Right.
looking
Mm.
at?
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So awesome. Any other amazing story? Oh, you got a birthday coming soon too. See, I
Oh
did
my
stalk
god,
you.
yeah, I'm turning 40 in 2 weeks.
Oh, I just turned 40.
How does it
It's
feel? I'm dreading it.
it's not fun. Everybody's like, you won't tell the difference. Tell that to my hips.
Oh my God. Yeah. Tell that to my body, my brain, my sleep level. Like I could go to sleep anywhere, anytime. I'm narcoleptic all of a sudden.
Huh? What? Yes, I know. I know. The only plus part about being 40 is when people are like, there's no way you're 40. And I'm like, yeah, here's my ID.
I get that a lot too. That people are always like, "You're not 40," and I'm like, "I really am. Trust me.
I am.
Makeup just does wonders for me."
I know, right? I know when I had my 20-year-old with me, they're like, we need her ID too. I'm like, first of all, I am her mother and I need this alcohol. You will sell to me. Like, she is 20, I am 40. I raised her.
What's your
I need
favorite
to
drink?
drink. My sex on the beach.
Oh, okay. I'm a dirty martini girl.
Ooh. I'm like,
Extra
ooh,
olive, extra
extra
dirty.
hour. Well, yeah. I'm all out of drink. Yes. Next time I want to have you on again. I think you should come on as a special co-host and we cover like a certain topic or something. Are you
Hell
down for
yeah,
that sometime? I think that'll be
100%.
fun. And we
Yes.
can we will do at the beginning, like first 5 minutes or whatever, we'll each like present like a drink or something.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like
I'm like,
that. A
yeah.
spooky drink.
Yes, because like when you do like the informative podcast, or at least on the show with like Mama Mary and I, you can tell from like at the beginning we're sober, and then you can tell like when we're 3 bottles of wine in toward the end. But it makes it a lot of fun
Hell yeah. Alcohol
making
always
memories.
enhances every experience.
See, that's what I'm trying to explain to people. Some people just don't understand that. Like,
Yeah.
God.
It loosens you up, it relaxes you a little bit, and it makes you a little bit more open-minded.
Absolutely does. It does.
Mhm.
So, unless there's another story you want to tell us, I think we will cut
Wrap it
this
up. I think
episode. Yeah.
yeah, I honestly I'm just so excited to share the world of ghost hunting and drag, and I don't see a lot of people out there like me, so I'm really excited to like get this out in the atmosphere more, and I'm starting to
Yes.
get noticed a little bit, which is great because there's just so much I can do with this, and I love doing these tours, and I'm trying to get into more across the country. I've had an offer come through
Absolutely.
I could potentially be at West Virginia State Penn next year for a night. And there's
Awesome.
definitely other locations coming, and I want to share drag with the world, and I want to share the energy that drag brings to ghost hunting with the ghost hunting world.
Absolutely. Well, you got our support at Paranormal XL Podcast. And I will do my part is sharing your events and stuff like that. So send me the links and I will help promote. I love doing that for people. And how can our listeners and viewers reach out to you?
The best way is to find me on any social media. I'm on there as Monique TooSoon on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I also have a website, MoniqueTooSoon.com. And on there are links to all of the ghost hunting events and all of the drag shows that I'm also hosting up here in New England.
Yay. Okay, so you have to come to Michigan sometime. So I work with a guy, but he's also like my personal DJ that he DJs at all the clubs and stuff up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. But he's in charge of all like the drag brunches and stuff up there.
Oh,
And they
cool.
are so much fun. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah. That you can't explain the energy. You just can't. I know you know what I'm talking about.
You can
With
go to a
any of
drag
that.
show in the worst mood you've ever been in your life, and you're going to leave there so happy, relaxed, at ease, laughing. You're going to be talking about that show for the whole next week to everybody
Uh-huh.
you know. That's what
You're not
drag
even
does to the world.
yes. It's just so great. Yes, you gotta come to town.
I'm coming to
Um,
town.
yes. What do you got plans for your birthday? What are you doing for
I'm
your
actually going to
40th?
Castle.
The Wilson Castle?
Yeah, it's that same
Yeah.
weekend. So I'm going to be there
Okay.
for one night, and then I'll be coming home, and I'll probably be in my psychic hangover.
Yes. Yes, you will. I'm like,
Passed
yes.
out.
Yes, you will. With a dirty martini. Yes, yes.
Hell yeah. Or 3.
Yeah, that's right. So all
It's my
right.
birthday.
What's that?
It'll be my birthday. 3 is good.
Only 3? It's your birthday.
Yeah,
You
if I
only
have more,
turned 40
I
once.
might pass out somewhere. I don't want to pass out.
I understand that.
Yeah.
As I say, so I look forward to having you on again, but as a co-host next time, and we will show the world what's up for sure. So listeners, email your stories or ideas to paranormalxl@writeme.com. And remember, don't yuck someone else's yum.
Ever.